Hello everyone, my name is Crispin Lee, and today I'll be going over my senior project of self-disclosure and what I have found. Uh, Self-disclosure, there's a lot that goes into self-disclosure, and through my research, I found information that can probably help. Um, the purpose of this research was to find and determine if people are more willing to open up and express their beliefs, their religion, just the way they think through communication, through social media, through the cell phone, communicating through text message, or would it be better for them to communicate face to face, interaction with somebody in person? So, first, to even start off this research, I had to review previous research and find what other researchers have found and to help find what I was looking for. So while doing this, I reviewed 3 articles which I found key important articles from every article and then related it back to my topic and what I was trying to find. Um, some key factors I found were sin demeanors, intimacy, and death and Beth. In these, I found that these are the key findings of self-disclosure. These are factors that could affect how someone can be self-disclosed and what can make them self-disclosed. So, sin demeanor, according to Boyle, is the way someone sends a message, not necessarily, it's more of like the tone or just the way they say it. It can be non-verbal, verbal. It's just the way they send a message to a receiver. So this can really be misinterpreted. So if someone don't really communicate it well, or you don't really understand, it can be misinterpreted and might not be a good gesture. You just might not like the person and be more self-disclosed. Another important finding, was intimacy. Intimacy is the close friendship and the closeness between individuals, according to Swole. So intimacy, I might be more open to someone I'm family with compared to a complete stranger where I'll just not even want to talk. So that could be a factor into self-disclosure. Depth is basically like how far a conversation can go. So basically, like I'm telling my secrets and everything such as that. And Beth is like how many conversations I have, or like the relationship with the person. Those are the key findings I found in the journals. So key findings I found in the journal. So the method I used to conduct my research was a survey. This survey contained 12 questions, which I sent out through Snapchat and email. I emailed students from my classmates that I got from Blackboard, the email list. The Snapchat, I just posted it on my Snapchat and asked people to participate. And the data was quantitative because it was a survey. It was closed-ended questions. It was on a like it scale where it was 1 to 5, least likely or most likely. And I had 66 participants participate in this survey. So some results I found were that people were more willing to open up about their problems face to face rather than communicate with their problems through social media or cell phone calling someone. There was a 35% of neutral ground that they may or may not communicate, and but there was a 40% that they would not communicate face to face with their problems or anything. Also, I found that the send demeanor. So if someone is rude or just don't come off as good vibes, more people tend to not want to get to know that person. Whereas if someone was nice, they really just 53% decided that they most definitely would actually try to seek more information and learn more, which is making them be more open. And so in result, I found that it really just depends on the situation where disclosure could play a factor, or like how you know the person, and maybe how serious the topic is. Maybe somebody would rather communicate their problems. Well, I found that people doing the survey, the more serious the problem was, the more they wanted to communicate face to face rather than social media. But political or not serious, like personal stuff, they wanted to communicate social media. So they'll post up how they feel about such and such. If it's not that deep or it's not really pertaining to them, they'll communicate through social media. That was my findings I found doing this research. Some limitations I've had on this research was that maybe it was getting my survey out, and I could have had more participants, so I could have a more broader overview of how self-disclosure and how can it affect people's self-disclosure. Also, maybe the time frame. If I had a little bit more time and could have got really in depth with this, but it was a good research. It was really good. So, in conclusion, my hypothesis was that people will communicate more through computer mandated communication rather than face to face. So my hypothesis was right, but it was wrong at the same time. It was in between because it was more of the situation of the topic rather than just being self-disclosed or not. The more serious the topic was, the more people wanted to communicate face-to-face, more personal on an intimate level. Whereas if it's not as serious, people will communicate on social media. Like if they just want to make a joke about something or just express themselves, not really personal on a personal level, they tend to go to social media rather than face to face. Thank you for listening, and this is my presentation for CM Project.